So my project is on our family business, McVay Brothers, which really had its roots back in the 20s. And what I wanted to find out was, how does a small family business survive, thrive, or just get along for so many years? I thought that was really important. Here's why I think it's important. Because one, small businesses are understudied. You don't see a lot of information on that. When in fact, actually, most businesses aren't Apple, they're not IBM, they're not Ford Motor Company or Firestone. Most businesses are just run by a few people, and they still yet employ almost up to, at certain times in our history, 60% of the population and things. So I thought it was really important to kind of find out how a small business ticks and maybe how you can get a small business to continue. The way I went about finding this out, I actually had a bunch of family documents, letters, personal things, old television ads, company financial statements, and things like that. But actually, what I was kind of surprised by is that I was able to use the Spokane Chronicle, the Spokesman Review, and the Journal of Business in Spokane, the archives for that. And that's really how I was actually able to do the research. There were literally, I think, around, well over 10,000 entries on that, which I thought was surprising because I wasn't expecting that much. So what I discovered in my research is there are really three things that kind of made our family business tick over the last 90 years or so. One is personal selling. That's one of the key ingredients. The second thing was really advertising and promotion, and the third thing was really community ties and social interactions and things. So those are really the three things that I think have really kept the business going over the years. And then I kind of divided the research into eras. The first thing, the early years from 36 to World War II, deals with our family basically. Business started in 1936. Actually, it was two businesses. There was a grocery store called the Garden Patch, and then a roofing company called McVay Roofing. And the roofing company used canvassing crews to go out door to door in small towns all through the inland Northwest to find business. The Garden Patch basically was selling produce locally, and did some research. Basically, and some of my research outside found that a lot of people went into service type businesses or contracting businesses because they had low barriers to entry during the Great Depression, and also the grocery business was a good one to go into because if you couldn't sell your produce, you could still consume it over time. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and it really was. You see here's an early ad. That was a co-op ad. These are all the little local groceries in Spokane that sold this kind of flour. And the little yellow one down here is the Garden Patch. You can see one of the first roofing ads. Some of the research I uncovered was U.S. Gypsum was one of the first companies to promote do-it-yourself and home improvement. And here, the very first ad I found with our company is they're promoting U.S. Gypsum Roofing. And there's a little Spuds ad for that. This car right here that you see to the left is the same model of car that one of the canvassers bought in 1940. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So the family made it through World War II, which I talk a little bit about in the paper. I won't get into that here now, but after World War II, things kind of exploded, and the company went from just really being focused on little in-column ads in their sales and marketing to all of a sudden larger ads. You can see the bus advertising up on the right, and then television, and actually all of a sudden running all sorts of TV ads and sweepstakes on TV and things like that. And it really drove the growth of the company. That's when and that started to reduce the impact of going door to door, but still the goal is to get a salesperson in front of people. And I know this Walter Friedman, who wrote the book basically on this history of sales, basically, which is real interesting. He talks a lot about Dale Carnegie and positive attitude and selling, and how attitudes towards sales changed. Well, attitudes towards sales were kind of at an all-time high during this period of the post-war boom. And then the other thing that became real prevalent, there was just a little bit of this that I found in before the war, but all of a sudden Harry and Warren, who were kind of the two principals of the company at the time, were just heavily involved in everything from mariners at their church, planning commissions, fundraisers for private events and things like that. And you see that, and even today we find that, but that's all of a sudden, that's how they get a lot of their business, is referrals from people they know, not just from the sales and marketing side of things. So I thought that was very interesting. Then finally, what you can find is you see basically the family business. There's all sorts of businesses going on. It's pretty complex. There were, actually I think 19 or 20 total businesses that the family started from 1936 on through to the present day. But when you get into past kind of the boom of the 70s, the company kind of hits the skids in the early 80s. When Harrison McVay is the president, he's a CPA. He manages to kind of hold things together, but the old guard, the in-home sales people from the family are retired, and we're relying more on traditional television advertising. There's some links to that, and I'll put those in the bibliography and things if anybody wants to look at those. But for a while there in the 70s with inflation and high interest rates and things, the company went from around 50 employees down to 13 at one point, and then started to rebuild from there until when Harrison retired in 1993, the company was back up to over 60 employees and had founded a little window plant, and was manufacturing as well as selling siding, windows, roofing, rain gutter, and that sort of thing. And then the company, from there, the company continued to grow. And ended up finally selling the first window plant in the 2000s. Bought or started another window plant from scratch. The company's now got window manufacturing in Spokane and Kingman, Arizona. It's got the original McVay Brothers contractors still plugging away in Spokane, and the sales have gone from, in that 1993 period, I think they were around 1.9 million, and now they're just in that 60 million range. So that's really where most of the hyper growth has happened, and that's been a combination of they're still relying on the grassroots connections through churches and AAU coaching and knowing people in schools and things like that. That's there. There's still really a heavy emphasis on personal selling, especially at the window plants, because a lot of that involves cold calling and going out and sitting down and meeting with people, and also selling the products from McVay Brothers in the home. But the last thing that's changed a lot is the promotion. You can see over on the left there. There's a basically that's a WSU sports sponsorship that so you got advertising in the arenas and things like that, but a lot of television, more emphasis on radio these days too, because you just can't reach everybody with one medium. Television is so fragmented between satellite and cable and broadcast and things like that, and then but so things have just continued to evolve. But those three legs of sales and personal selling being one leg, the community connections being another leg, and then the third leg being basically advertising, depending on how it is. Those are still the three legs of the stool that keep the company going, which I think is pretty interesting. And I'll leave it at that. There's a lot more. The last slide shows, I think, the companies that were all started by the descendants of W.H. McVay, which I found pretty interesting. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.